Welcome to my daily practice at Wendy Coad Art. If you find this video interesting or helpful, please consider subscribing to my channel and liking the video.
Hi, my name is Wendy and I'm an artist. I've been an artist my whole life and I am excited to invite you into my studio and show you my art practice. I paint every day and I do acrylic on paper. I also do stencils. I draw. I organize my studio space. I do a lot of things. For me, art is about problem solving, so there's always little tricks and tools that I can share with you along the way. So welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Hi, it's Wendy, and welcome to my studio. Today I am preparing some of my recent paintings, the smaller ones that I have done on the table here, and I'm also going to be building a little shelf unit for some of my pieces. So I'm going to take you through all of that. And first of all, I got started with trimming these abstract paintings. So I'm two sides down and two sides to go. Just going to make them uniform. I do like the torn edge, but not enough to make it, to make it work. So I am just going to line things up on this cutting board. These boards have been a lifesaver to me. They are both practical and versatile. So I've lined up the bottom edge. That will be the one torn edge that I'm going to leave. And then I'm going to line up the top edge. And I'll show you this mat once I finish this one cut. It's a little bit tricky to do multiple pieces of paper at once. You have to have a sharp knife, sharp edge. Okay, to go down a little bit further. I can see now. I'm going to trim them just a little bit further. So I can measure their square, which is a good thing because of the grid, but already I don't have the strength to really make sure things don't move, as they already have. Look at that. Huh. So what I was doing is I was cutting lightly, a light cut down through 2 or 3, and then go deeper, and then go deeper, and then go the last little bit. So that's going to make them all about even. All these loose ends I can just put aside. So I've already done 2 sides, 2 of the 3 that I'm aiming for, because like I said, the bottom I like to leave, just the kind of memory of the tear. The other thing is these were not particularly square when I started, and so this is going to even them up on the square. Maybe not, actually. Yeah, that seems better. All right. So you can see this cutting board has a grid on, and
it's wonderful because if you line things up more or less, they are going to all be the same shape. If you make a mistake, then they'll all be slightly off. And if you are dead on, then they'll be dead on. I can see some of these pieces of paper have been a little bit misshapen. That was the other goal that I had. But this line, the bottom lines up along the bottom edge. So now I want to get as close as I can and remove as little as I possibly can. And so because I'm starting with nothing showing down there, I'm going to once again go light to heavy with my X-Acto knife, because I can make multiple passes. Sometimes if you try to do it all at once and apply all your force, that's where things get a little bit off kilter. And I'm going to measure, and that is looking good. And here are my pieces. I mean, they still have rough edges. I love that. I love that. I really like the way some of these drips with the water spreading them a bit, how they turned out. So that's my recent crop of paintings. I'm going to put these aside. I'm going to be taking them on a trip with me today. And now the next thing that I'm going to do is I am going to make a shelf unit. And I am going to do that using this wood that I got. I really got it at the hobby store, $1 a board, which of course is a little expensive just for this much wood. It's kind of like a balsa wood. However, it's all cut and ready to go, and so I am just going to use it. And the other reason is because it is such a soft wood. It's a plywood, but it's such a soft wood that I can easily cut it with an X-Acto knife as well. I just need to make sure my measures are accurate, because I want to cut it in half the long way. So 4.5 inches, that would be 2.25. Sorry, 2 3/4. Oh, wait a minute, 2.5. 4.5 is 2.25. Oh, there's the 2. A little misleading here. So 1 there. And I'm actually going to just make a mark with my X-Acto knife where that is, because the X-Acto knife mark is finer than my pencil, the width of my pencil. Try this side where the 2 is a little more readable. 2.25. Make a mark also with my knife. Now it won't be perfect. I have to go on the diagonal here, but it will suit my purposes just fine. I'll show you how to do this. I've actually trimmed Luan and cut. Luan is a very, very thin plywood. It's thinner than 1/4 inch. It's like a little more than 1/8 of an inch, but it's thinner than 1/4 of an inch. So the first cut is, again, very gentle, because that's going to create the trough for my knife to go deeper the next time. And that way I don't risk having some kind of a jiggling of this straight edge and risk going off track. Now at the ends, I'm going to just make sure that I have the same mark on the other side. That's the other thing that I found, is that there are times where I will score one side and then I'll measure the other side, but my measurement was off a little tiny bit. And that's annoying when that happens. So if I use the same line on one side for the measure on the other side, I have more accuracy. Again, just a light scoring, just creating the trough. And once that trough is created, it's very, very easy to apply more pressure without risking the wood shifting. So now I'm going to go in quite deeply. And at this point, there's nothing keeping it from just breaking very, very cleanly. I'll give this edge a little bit more pressure here. Otherwise, you'll get a little bit of irregular surface on this very, very tight edge. So you can see there's a tiny, tiny little bit of wood chip, but that's just a very easy fix with a piece of sandpaper. And lining them up, that's as good as I could hope for. So that's one down. And more to go. Okay, I marked it on one end, not the other. That might be a mistake. It's not as easy to see. But like I said before, my first score is going to be very gentle. Just getting the trough established, and then I do multiple scores, because now I know that this end I lighten up, I guess, a bit. So I'll do a little extra over here. And then I will make sure that I have that same measurement coming over to the other side by using a rocking motion on my X-Acto knife. And start on the other side to, again, initially make a very light score. So that nothing moves, but it establishes that trough. And this is how you cut wood with an X-Acto knife. I mean, I've actually cut plywood, well, like I said, 1/4 inch. Luan is thinner than 1/4 inch, so that's even easier. And just rock it a little bit. Just get all the little fibers. I mean, that's almost perfect. It's just a very quick sanding. That is looking good. Now I'm going to get some more of these boards. I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And here I have 4. This one is a little bit bowed, but I think it will work just fine. I was going to leave it as a deeper shelf, but actually I only need this depth. It's 2.5, 2 1/4 inches. So that's great because I can make 2 of them now. I'm always happy when that happens. Like I said, the pencil mark is thicker than the X-Acto knife. So I'm going to do both just to make sure. This is not fine cabinetry, you know, I don't even know how to do that. This is just for some tools, kind of like a little craft project, which I love to do. It's a counter, oh, now that started to move, so talking and walking. Talking and doing other things. So my trough is not going to be as easy to continue with. I'm going to go very, very lightly and hope that I can correct that, because once that happens, you know, the trough is misaligned and it's very, very easy for the X-Acto knife and the straight edge to kind of skip. I can feel it pull, yeah. So I'm going to turn it around and see if it's going to be easier for me to keep my hand steady. Oh yeah, that was quite, I didn't realize that it had moved so much. But this should help also, coming from the other side. Yeah. So I can see there's a little divot there, but it's not too bad. Certainly not as bad as it could be. I can work with that. I can put it towards the back side of the little shelf, so it will be hidden. And I'll make my marks on the other side with my X-Acto knife, and then I'm using this straight edge because it's heavy, so it helps to keep things. Oh, did it again. I think I need to breathe for a minute. Anyways, the straight edge is heavy, but not apparently not heavy enough to avoid going off track. So I'm going very lightly and very slowly, pushing down a little bit in certain places, but trying to establish the more accurate line there. And you can see where there's these little slivers are actually where I deviated. And I would rather not have them, but it's an easy cleanup, again, with just a little bit of sandpaper. So, turning it around. Can go deeper with a little more confidence. Wow, I was really off there. So this might be a part of the back panel. It's got a very, 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 very thin veneer of this, I don't know what it is, balsa wood or pine. And this one, actually, the interior, the plywood on the inside is much stronger than, or it feels much stronger than the others. So let's see. Give it a little persuasion there. And I just go back and forth because it's plywood, it's not too bad. Because it's plywood, the grain goes this way on the surface and it goes this way underneath. So that's what creates the strength in a very thin object. All right, so that's 6. We need one more, but I think I'm actually going to do all of these so that I can create 2. I'll do it one at a time. It's also good to keep the work surface clear, because just those little variations will interrupt the surface. Surprisingly, it doesn't take much, especially when the wood is so thin, for some little piece of litter underneath to show up as a bit of a deviation on the top. Little bump. And I have to say, I really like doing these projects. And I consider them part of my art practice. I get to use tools, I get to measure and cut. It's a very satisfying endeavor. Just like I cut the paper. I used to paint on plywood, on Luan panels. You know, I'd gesso them, gesso, and then I like a hard surface. I think that's why I like the paper, well, it's not a hard surface in and of itself, but it's attached to the wall, so it's really like painting on the wall. I could just paint on walls. I mean, I could just paint on gyprock or hard surfaces. I can really feel a little movement up there. I'm going to turn it around and do the other side. See if I can go a little bit deeper. And yeah. And down here, I've deviated somewhat, just very, very slightly. Very light, just creating that trough. And I'm not going through at any point. I'm going just, you know, a quarter of the way through on one side, a quarter of the way through on the other side. But in the end, because everything inside is so thin, it doesn't really matter. So that's it. Now I'm going to create a couple of boxes, but what I'm going to do on the inside is support, kind of a square support. Let me get this tape. I'm going to set it up so that I can do some more of the cutting as well. So you can see how some of them are straighter than others. This side I was really a little bit off, but like I said, these will all be on the back. So just take 4 of them and put them together. Smooth side out. So they'll be looking like this. I'm not doing, you know, a miter joint or anything. I'm going to keep it very simple, very, very simple. So some of these boards will go, let's see, in here, like this. And then there's going to be the cross pieces like this. I have two shelves. So, so I'm going to cut a little pieces out of here so that the boards can join and create a little more stability. And I will be doing that on the next tape because we've run out of time.
So I'm so happy that you are joining me today and maybe other days too. I'll take you through my day-to-day as an artist, and I look forward to seeing you on the next tape. Thanks for being here.